Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole,
And I'm Brittany.
and this is the 11-Minute Mile, episode 30. And we have a super special guest, Kaylin O'Donnell. Hi, Kaylin. How are
Yes.
you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
That was like the most lame intro ever. Um, so for everyone that doesn't know Kaylin who's listening, she is one of our very best friends, and she used to live in New York. She was Brittany's roommate, and we're so happy to have her on.
I know
Uh,
after living with her for so long, anytime she comes to visit, I'm like, wait, just stay.
I know it's so sad, but Kaylin, what
I
does it
know.
feel like being back in New York? Well, like every time you come back to New York, you feel like you get like a little bit of butterflies, don't you?
I miss New York so much. So I moved out to LA right before COVID, and coming back to New York, it's even what Brittany said. I loved living with her. I love the city. I love the
Mhm.
energy. I love all my friends, Nicole, Brittany, and more. Everyone's here. So I do. It feels like home more than anywhere
What
else when you come back.
what's like the major difference that you see between LA and New York? That's a really
Mm,
hard question.
it is. It's kind of because people ask me that same, not maybe the difference, but they ask me if you like New York or LA better. And it's kind of like apples and oranges. They're such different
Mhm.
places. The
Yeah.
people are different, the things you do are different. The lifestyle is just completely different. That the big difference is everything you would do on a day to day is just looks a little different than what you would do in New York. And
Mhm.
Well, your typical day is like a walk to the beach. I'm like,
mhm.
what we would go
It
for
doesn't
like
sound
what would you
bad.
give for a walk to the beach as we're in March and it's raining. It's so
Yeah.
gross here.
I
No,
know.
you spend
Pros and cons.
a lot of time outside, and there's the beach, and the weather's amazing, and you hike and you get up
Mhm.
early, and it's a good lifestyle for sure, but you don't have like the energy and the
Mhm.
drive and the motivation that New York holds, and the endless opportunities are just like at your fingertips no matter what day or time it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I
And New
feel
York
like you
is
itch
kind
for
of,
that too.
yeah. But New York is probably the only place that really does hold that because any other place
Oh,
that you
yeah.
live, like LA is so amazing. And
Mhm.
every time we go to visit, it is so nice. And
Perks to both.
people love both.
Mhm.
Yeah. But it is a little
Yeah.
different.
It's definitely
So you've lived like remember we were talking about this the other day on the phone too. I was like, wait, how many places have you actually lived? I didn't realize like how
A
much back
million
and
places.
forth that you did. But
uh-huh.
I think the coolest story about you is like your dance background and living in Zurich.
Yeah,
So
I've
like
done
briefly touch on that,
yes, so I love a big move, whether it's across the country or
clearly.
across the world. I think it's great to see different cities and different ways of living. But when I was in my late teens, I got a job with the Zurich Ballet in Switzerland. And so
So
basically I
cool.
just picked up my life and moved on over. But it was great because you were doing something there. So it would
Yeah.
have been a lot it was scary, but it would have been a lot harder if I wasn't like I was part of the ballet company. So you had friends that were kind of given to you in a job and a way of living there. But it was a big move where I didn't know a single person
Yeah.
going into it. Really, I had like one friend that we were not close with, but I knew him going into it. But besides that, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know the language, so they speak
It's wild.
German, and so they like my first they helped me find an apartment and like got me set up for a living,
Mhm.
and it was great. I stayed there for almost 4 years and like
Which
three
is
and a half
so
years.
long. It's like
And
4 years is a huge chunk of time to be there.
it was,
Cool
and
experience though.
a very cool experience. I have a really special spot in my heart for Zurich. It's a lot
Yeah.
smaller than what I remember it, but it was beautiful and the people were lovely and like
Hmm.
the food was
Have you
great.
been back recently?
I haven't been back in probably, I mean, I haven't lived there at this point in 10 years,
Which
which
is
is kind
crazy
of nuts.
because I went to
Should we go
Zurich
back?
and
Let's
I went
go.
to Zurich because you went there, like you
Hmm.
lived there. And I was like, oh, well, Kaylin lived there. I gotta go see it. And it was stunning. Like
It's
every
stunning.
part about it was so beautiful. Like, what did you kind of do? Also, if you hear grunting, I'm
It's
wearing
my
Lincoln.
bucket list. I know.
he's,
I was like,
he's
wait,
actually
we forgot to
grunting.
introduce the most
The most
important. saying
Wearing
on our
Lincoln. So if you
podcast
hear
right
the
now.
grunting on the microphone, it's him. It's not me.
He wanted to
He
be
was
part of
sleeping
it.
so quietly though, we didn't even realize we needed to introduce him.
I know.
Our real guest is here.
The real guest. No, we love you, Caitlin.
um But no, I mean, it was that the lake is beautiful. So in this, if you go, it's really magical in winter and with like Christmas and all of that, if you want to go when it's cold. But the summer is so underrated where I don't think people really realize how beautiful it is. You can swim in the lake. They have this whole, everything's outside and the light and the sunset doesn't set until like 10 p.m. and
So nice.
people are out
Dreamy.
doing something and barbecuing. It's so fun. It was really fun during that time of my life for sure.
And had you
It is definitely on
ever
my list.
we should all go.
Yeah,
and
I
with you.
really
It would be fun.
want to go.
Well, one of the questions that I had is, did you ever visit before you went and lived there?
I did. So I went out to an audition basically.
Okay,
So I went out once. It was a crazy thing. I didn't even have a passport and they were like,
Crazy.
"Can you come in
You
2
didn't have a
weeks?" So
passport?
I didn't have a passport. I had never
How
left
old
the
were you?
country.
You were like 19?
16?
18.
18?
It was 18 or 19. I might have been 19. Time, man.
Yeah.
Flies by. But I didn't have a passport. I never left the country. So my mom and I drove down. I was living in Orlando at the time, drove down to Miami to get an express passport so I could get one in like 2
It was
weeks to
crazy.
crazy.
Also so
And
stressful.
it
Like,
was, but it was kind of exciting where
Yeah.
we're doing it. We're going to Europe. And in hindsight, we had no idea, but we should have booked a full travel plan instead of just going Zurich back to Florida. We should have done, I don't know, Amsterdam or
I mean, you
Berlin.
couldn't
And
plan so quick
we
too.
just
also,
didn't know.
you were 19, you had no idea.
Yeah,
My
you
mom
didn't
did.
know.
We both were kind of just going in blinded, but it worked out. And so basically I moved probably a month later. The
That's
season
awesome.
started, like the ballet season
Good for
started, I
you.
want to say in like the summer. And then it was
And then
just,
what was
And
your
you're-
dance schedule when you were
And I
there?
have before it ends because I have a question. I want to know your least favorite and favorite part of the ballet, like being part. But you can answer Brittany's
Ooh.
question first.
The schedule, to be
It had to
honest,
be a hard.
it
Like,
wasn't
ballet's
so
hard.
bad. It is hard, but we had a pretty decent schedule. You'd go to training and you'd rehearse throughout the days, but especially my first 2 years there, we had a different director. So you had a huge chunk in the morning, and then sometimes we'd have like 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon break, and then we would go back in the evening and rehearse.
Mm.
And then we would perform on either the weekends, and sometimes it would be like a Saturday, Sunday, so you have Monday off. And it wasn't the worst schedule. You were
It's
just,
kind of
you know,
different every
yeah,
week.
just rehearse in class and whatnot. I guess like the biggest pro is it's kind of the lifestyle. You get used to taking class and being in shape and being with the company, with your community, your group of dancers, which is really fun. And performing is always great. Learning something new, performing. The cons are probably it's a hard life mentally, I found, more than physically, where you're expected to be kind of perfect. You're expected to be a certain
Totally.
way. They're really critical, and it kind of hurts your soul a bit. That was the hardest part for me, and your self-confidence is up and down and all over the place because someone told you one day that you just weren't good enough.
Yeah, I was just
And
gonna say, so dependent on what other people think. That
Mhm.
It
can be
feels
so
like
hard.
such a toxic, like, I feel like you hear so many crazy things about like ballerinas and the dance world and stuff and how it can be like really, really toxic. So I'm just always interested. Like, and I
Mhm.
used to love watching Center Stage. And I
Oh, me
always
too. I love
now
it.
think that is like what that world is like. Granted, I'm
Yes.
sure it's amazing too.
Most
It's
of the
not-
part, I think it is probably
it's pretty,
toxic.
it's pretty
I mean, I don't
accurate,
know.
and
Yeah, it's just wild.
I think when I was in Zurich the first like 2 years or whatnot, the company was, I felt, and I was really young, so I'm sure people have different opinions, but from my point of view, we were pretty close, and because we had a hard director, like the person in charge, and so you kind of had to stick together as a dancer, but that's not the case with every company. Some are really cutthroat, some are really mean and competitive, and so it's just, there's definitely a lot of toxicity in it.
Yeah.
That I think people don't really know, and I'm not sure if it will ever really change, but I don't regret it. I
It's
had
like
a
that
great time
world.
doing it.
That's
So,
wild.
yeah.
What a cool. I wish
It
like
is wild.
Brittany, don't you wish you could have lived in Europe for just a second?
Yeah. I mean, I never even went out of the country until I was like 24. So
That
just to
is
even
so crazy
go,
to me
it is
because
well,
you guys
you
have been
like got
so
to
many
fly.
places.
Well, now,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you just gotta like, but I feel like I appreciate it so much more going later because now it's like I
Yeah.
have such a better understanding of travel. Like,
Right.
I don't know if I would have, I mean, 16, 17, I probably would have appreciated it, but being
Also, you have
much
no
younger,
money
I
at
don't
that
know.
age either. It's like, what do you,
Oh,
how are you
yeah.
even doing that? And like, how's it going to be enjoyable?
Right.
To be
Yeah.
honest, the only place that I really went to was Canada before I was the age of 23.
And did you
Right.
Yeah.
drive or did you fly?
Drove.
Yeah. So it's like
Because it's like
coming
so
from
close to my
Buffalo.
parents. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
quick.
Mm.
It's quick.
Wild.
But oh my God,
But
18 seconds. We need another
I
app
know.
with you.
I know
That
we
was
Would
could.
love
great.
to
We could do
anytime.
more episodes all the time. We need to hear about when you're coming back.
Oh, I'll be
Yeah,
back soon.
we
Don't
need
worry.
Kaylin to move
That's a
back.
whole nother
It
episode.
really is. When is it?
Well, thanks for listening, you guys. And we'll
Thanks
see you
for
for episode 31. You're the
Thanks
best.
for
Kaylin.
having me.
Miss you.
Yes.
Love having you. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.